Hi, I'm Duncan Moss, and I'd like to welcome you to my latest video blog. Today, I'm going to be talking about a wonderful cinema actor by the name of Peter Lorre. He was born in 1904 in Hungary, a Jewish family. Very sadly, his mother died when he was 4, and his father took him and his two brothers to live in Germany. Um, the father I think, worked in the civil service, and he remarried and and Peter had two, I think, half brothers, as well as his two full brothers. And he had an interest in acting from a very early age. He started acting in Vienna when he was 17, and he was acting in small parts in films by the late 1920s. He had a massive break in 1930 when he was cast as a child molester and murderer in the Fritz Lang thriller M. And he would make a few more films in Germany, but once Hitler came to power, he left Germany for Hollywood. The same thing happened to Fritz Lang. His wife was Jewish, and he also left for Hollywood. And Peter had a very, very modest command of English, so he had to learn his first Hollywood movie. He had to sort of learn his lines in conjunction with the other actors, and uh, just stumble through it as best he could. But by the sort of mid 30s, his English had improved dramatically. And in 1935, he made a wonderfully macabre movie called Mad Love, which is also known as The Hands of Orlac, where he plays a professor, a scientist, doctor, who is obsessed with an actress who appears in a play in the theatre very near where he works. And he has a box every day. And to his horror, he learns that this actress is no longer going to be in the opera. Um, and he is obsessed with her. The lady is played by Frances Drake, and the film also has Colin Clive in it, who put in such a wonderful performance in two films as Dr. Henry Frankenstein. It's a great movie, and Peter is very evil in it. Um, he was quite a short man, and he had very prominent eyes, which bulgy eyes, which really were his trademark. And he played Mr. Moto in a series of films for MGM, but was very uncomfortable with playing a Japanese detective when relations between Japan and USA were not particularly good. And he also played in a film called The Invisible Agent, which was for Universal. It was part of the Invisible Man franchise. They'd already had Invisible Man and Return of the Invisible Man. And usually by about the third film, things are going off a bit. But this film, I think it was either the third or fourth in the series, Invisible Agent. Peter is in it, and it's an absolute cracker of a movie. Really, really hugely enjoyable. To do see it. It's just a start. It's a cracking film from start to finish. And Peter then had a very successful 5 or 6 years working for Warner Brothers, where he would appear with Humphrey Bogart in The Maltese Falcon and a modest part in the classic film Casablanca. And in 1944, he'd make a film for Warner Brothers called The Mask of Demetrius, which is a fantastic thriller, up there with, I believe it's as great as The Maltese Falcon, and but it doesn't get treated with the same respect. It's very interesting role for Peter because he's playing the good guy for a change, and he's very good in it, and so is everybody else. Sydney Greenstreet's in it. There's a guy, the bad guy in it is so odious that you just couldn't. It was he's I can't remember his name, but he's a very fine actor. And Sidney Greenstreet is in the movie. His famous line in the picture, which he says more than once, is "There just isn't enough love in the world." And sometimes Peter and Sidney Greenstreet were cast together as a pair in what one critic described as a sort of Laurel and Hardy from hell. Um, well, Peter's contract with Warner Brothers, I think, ended in 1946. He was quite left wing, and his friendship with quite a lot of left wing people uh, was caused friction at the studio. So Peter went freelance, and in 1953, he appeared in what was one of my favourite movies, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. And he said leaks, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, where he co stars with James Mason as Captain Nemo and Kirk Douglas as Ned Land. He plays Conseil, who is the secretary to Professor Aronnax. They're all refugees being from the ship that got sunk. And basically, Conseil in the novel, Jules Verne novel, is he's in his 20s, I think, and because Peter was in his 50s at the time. But it works. It works really well. And of course, there's a seal just to keep all the children happy. And a great film. Um, Peter was also the first person to play a James Bond baddie on screen. There was a performance on production of Casino Royale made for TV in America, and Peter Lorre played one of the bad guys. I can't remember who, but he was the first person ever to play a Bond villain or baddie. And well, Peter continued to work on, like a lot of these vintage Hollywood stars. He was quite a celebrity. And in 1962, he teamed up with his friend Boris Karloff and Lon Chaney Jr. to make an episode of the TV series, to guest star in the episode of the TV series Route 66, which was about two lads going across America, one of them very rich and one of them with hardly a brass halfpenny or dime to his name. And they get into all sorts of adventures, and they help out at a beauty pageant at a hotel. And Boris, Peter, and Lon also happen to be at the same hotel, and they're trying to launch a new company to make brand new horror movies. But they're at disagreement as to whether the old monsters can still be used. Are they still frightening enough? And or does the world need more horror? As and Lon Chaney believes that the old monsters are the best. And there's a lovely scene where he breaks into a room with a young girl in there and starts in his makeup as the Wolfman, and starts roaring and going with his claws like that. And the girl isn't frightened at all. And actually offers to make him a drink. And I think, and he just bursts into tears and falls on the tables, banging his fists because he doesn't think he's frightening anymore. Uh, it's a great episode. Peter has they all have equal uh, gags. One of them for Peter is the girl sees him and screams and faints, and he says, "But I wasn't wearing any makeup." I resent that. Uh, it was a lovely episode. It was done especially for Halloween, and I've forgotten there was Peter was also with Boris Karloff and Bela Lugosi in a 1941 uh, comedy thriller called "You'll Find Out," which was a vehicle for the band leader Kay Kaiser, and it's a good spooky old haunted house picture, and everyone has a good time, and that's got a lot of young ladies trapped in the house, and people, lots of things going on. It's a good fun movie, and Kay Kaiser makes it quite clear at the end of the picture that Boris Karloff, Bela Lugosi, and Peter Lorre are very nice people and not the villains that they were on screen. That's probably for the children. Peter spent his last years appearing in a string of horror movies by the producer and director Roger Corman, The Raven and Comedy of Terrors, and I think there might have been another one. I think it might have been the Terror. I can't remember, but he very sadly died in March 1964. I think he was just under 59, I think he was. And at the time, there was a TV series in production called Stingray by Jerry and Sylvia Anderson with puppetry. First British show to be made in colour. And one of the bad guys in the series, uh, Agent X20, is very much based on Peter Lorre with big eyes and a creepy voice. And sadly, I don't know whether Peter knew that there was this character that was based on him, because he died before the show first got transmitted later on that year after he died. But he may have known about it. But he's a lovely, lovely actor with the most wonderful. I can't do his voice very well. You've got the Falcon, Mr. Spade, but we've got you. I can't do it. There's a guy who was on my course who could do it absolutely brilliantly. But do check him out because he's a really. If you don't know any of his work, do check him out. He's well worth bothering with. Okay, if you enjoyed this blog, please tick the like button, share with a friend if you can, or subscribe to my video channel. I'd love to have you aboard. I talk about a load of things, but I hope you've enjoyed it. Anyway, I'll catch you the next time. God bless.